All right, welcome back in for another top 10 list. Today we are progressing forward and we are going to go over our top 10 wide receivers. Last week we did quarterbacks. If you didn't check that out, be sure to do so. Welcome back into the channel, JaVon. We had some mixed reviews on the quarterback video. As to
Yep.
be expected, I put hot takes ahead in parentheses because I think both of us got a little spicy. Wide receivers, I think similar to quarterbacks, at least for me, there was a clear consensus top four, and then everything kind of goes off the rails after that point. But
Yeah.
I would imagine after last year, we have the same number one guy, but I'll kick it to you. Who is your number one wide receiver in the NFL?
After last year, I'm gonna go with Jamar Chase. And that's simply because not only did he have the best season, and his season last year reminded me a lot of Cooper Kupp's season. I mean, he almost did win it. Wait, did he win a triple crown? I don't think he did.
I think he did.
Oh, he did?
I think
Okay.
so.
Oh, yeah, because he had, oh my gosh, he had so many touchdowns. But yeah, I mean, it kind of reminded me of Cooper Kupp's season. Now, will he have the fall off Cooper Kupp did? I doubt it, because when Cooper Kupp had his triple crown season, he was a little bit older than Jamar Chase is currently right now. So
And
I
a
don't
little bit
see.
more injury prone as well.
Yeah, and he had an injury history before that season as well. So I mean, the history tracks, man. I definitely see Jamar Chase being the best receiver this upcoming season. I know a lot of people are like not going to agree, and they're going to go with the guy up in Minnesota, but we don't know what the quarterback situation is out there, and we know for sure that as long as Joe Burrow is on the field, we know what he can produce. Whether his defense is good, whether his run game is good, no matter what happens, we know that they have a quarterback that's going to produce, and that's going to play a big part in this list as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. You mentioned Jamar Chase's really solid year last year,
yeah,
127 receptions, 1,708 yards, 17 touchdowns. You could say what you want about the Bengals defense was so bad. Some of these stats are inflated, whatever you want it to be. A triple crown is a triple crown, and there's no denying the talent that Jamar Chase has. There is a bit of a 1A, 1B situation with Chase and Jefferson, and we'll talk about Jefferson in just a second, I'm
yeah,
sure. But Jamar Chase the thing that I think is so great about Jamar is any catch can go for a touchdown. And
yeah.
I think back to his performances versus the Baltimore Ravens both times last year, he absolutely cooked them. And that was
Torched.
a good defense. It wasn't great, but it was a good defense. And it was a screen pass 70 yards for a touchdown. It was a deep ball 70 yards for a touchdown. It was over the middle of the field making three guys miss for a touchdown. Jamar Chase can kill you from any single spot on the football field. He is the best wide receiver, in my opinion, in open space. He's not the fastest wide receiver in the league,
Exactly.
whether that's Worthy, Jameson Williams, Tyreek Hill, have that debate. But Jamar Chase can kill you from anywhere. He has crisp route running. He has elite hands. He has everything you want in an NFL wide receiver. And he put it together last year for a one-of-a-kind level NFL season. I wish that for Jamar's sake, the Bengals had more success last year on the back of it, but there's no denying the personal success that Jamar had. And that's why I thought, even in terms of it's close between him and Jefferson, I feel like after last year, I at least had to give the nod to Jamar.
I mean, yeah, even with like the eye test and everything, like he's not the fastest, like you said, he's not the shiftiest, but he gets the job done. He's like a technician, man. Like he's just efficient. He's
Yeah.
efficient with all his movements, and that's why he can take a slant for 70 yards. Or like any play is like it could be a home run at any given point at any time, which is what made him so dangerous last year, even when T. Higgins wasn't sure if he was going to re-sign or not. That's why they took so long to re-sign T. Higgins.
Yeah, Jamar got signed this offseason to a massive deal,
Yeah.
absolutely well-deserved. And, when you're so good, you kind of leave not a lot to be said about you. And I think that that's kind of one of the bigger compliments we could say about Jamar Chase. We could sit here and for another 10 minutes, go through his games from last year and talk about how well he performed. Those numbers that he put up were, again, after another slow Cincinnati Bengals start. I
Yeah.
kind of wonder if they had just played good for the first couple of weeks, could he have eclipsed 20 touchdowns? I don't think that would have been unrealistic.
Yeah.
So number 2, do you as well have his LSU brother, the Minnesota Vikings wide receiver Justin Jefferson?
Yes, I do. I'm gonna let you go first with Justin Jefferson.
Jettis, 103 receptions, 1,533 yards, and 10 touchdowns. Towards the end of the season last year, Jamar pulled away as being the best wide receiver in football for me. But man, in the middle of the year, it was, and I kid you not, whoever I watched more recently in my mind was the best one. Whoever I saw just absolutely do their thing on the field. And the thing that I think is so great about Chase and Jefferson is, while they're both so talented, they're both very different wide receivers. I'm convinced there's not a ball that Justin Jefferson can't snag. Obviously, that catch that he had versus the Bills in that game 2 years ago was just disgusting, but he has the best and the stickiest hands in the NFL. I don't think I've ever seen him drop a pass. Somebody, I'm sure, with a memory will be able to say week 16, second quarter, 5 minutes left, he dropped, whatever it may be. This guy is an absolute baller. And I think the biggest compliment I can give him is that he's quarterback proof. And it's not to say that Kirk Cousins or Sam Darnold is bad, but man, like those guys aren't Joe Burrow. We talked about the top 10 quarterbacks last week. We talked about Joe Burrow. We didn't even discuss those guys in the honorable mentions. And Justin Jefferson's putting up 1,500 yards, double-digit touchdowns, 100-plus catches with these guys. He is an absolute freak. If you had him at number 1, I wouldn't even be mad at you. For me, it's a 1A, 1B situation. I give the nod to Chase because of last year, but Jefferson is right there with him in terms of talent and skill, man.
Oh, yeah. Don't get me wrong. I would have Justin Jefferson at number 1. It's just even after the season I just saw Jamar have, because it's Justin Jefferson, but I don't know what McCarthy's gonna do. Nobody's seen him take more than what. No one has ever seen him play in the NFL. He got injured in the preseason last year or whatever before in training camp.
Yeah, preseason.
Yeah, so. But at the same time, when it comes to Justin Jefferson, like you say, he's quarterback proof. We're gonna see this upcoming season. And Justin Jefferson, he's on Hall of Fame trajectory. Like he's like on Jerry Rice trajectory. He's not going to reach the regular season receiving yards or whatever, because that's going to be impossible. But he's had the best start to almost any career ever.
He reminds me of LeBron in terms of like youngest to this, youngest to this, youngest to this, youngest to this, whatever the measure is. He continuously is the youngest to that measure. And he got paid 2 years ago. Absolutely well-deserved. Did you see him on the wide receiver show on Netflix too? I mean, seems like a real high character dude as well.
Yeah, no, I didn't see the show at all. So I was thinking about watching it next week too. I'm gonna have to get around to that.
He's a real high character dude. There's another guy that was on that show that we're going to talk about for sure. But these two are 1A, 1B. Have them whichever way you want. They're absolute freaks. Yeah. But let's get into where maybe some debate will start. Who do you have as the number 3 wide receiver in all of football?
I'm gonna go with CeeDee Lamb. Because
CeeDee Lamb is my number 4 for Reddit.
Okay.
So there is, one spot lower, but right up there.
Yeah, and I've seen CeeDee Lamb. Now, my number 4, it was kind of interchangeable as well, in my opinion. But for CeeDee Lamb, I've seen him with literally damn near no other weapons hold down a steady, not like a high-powered offense, but he kept the offense afloat for the majority of the season last year for the Cowboys. I mean, most of the people they had catching passes at wide receiver 2, Brandon Cooks and Tolbert, these guys wouldn't be wide receiver 3s on some pretty decent teams. And CeeDee Lamb was holding it down out there in Dallas, and he had a very good season as well. And no matter what, if it was him getting catching reverses, I mean, he was throwing the ball a little bit last year. He had a couple of rushes towards the end of last year. He was getting like a rush or 2 a game. They were trying to get him
once
the ball.
They had Cooper rushing the game, they couldn't get CeeDee Lamb the ball as much because teams were just doubling him. They were like, this guy's so talented, we have to get him the football by any means necessary.
Yeah, who knows? Maybe this year they'll line him up at running back. Who knows?
I think they did a little bit last year. I'm not even kidding. I'm pretty sure they ran some toss plays towards the
Yeah.
end of the season for him.
I definitely know that they were trying to get him the ball by any means possible. And with that,
And with good reason. He is
yeah.
an uber talented player. He's extended as well. 101 catches, 1,194 yards, and 6 touchdowns in 15 games last year. So
Yeah.
he missed a little bit of time, and he was even banged up towards the end of the season. So you kind of wonder what would those numbers be if he had played a full year. I think he could have really competed with Jamar for receptions.
Oh, yeah.
And pushed him for that because he had 101 in 15 games. And like I mentioned, towards the end of the season, he wasn't even playing out the full games just with, I believe, a wrist injury he had. My favorite thing about CeeDee Lamb is how versatile he is and how efficient he is both on the outside and in the slot.
Yeah.
You know, obviously you could play Jamar Chase and Justin Jefferson, who we talked about, and realistically, probably any of the 10 guys we're going to talk about today could be successful in those spots. But CeeDee Lamb is an elite wide receiver in both spots. He can kill you deep, and he is one of the best route technicians in football. Absolutely. I had some concerns about his frame coming into his NFL career, but it's just a new era, man. Like some of these skinnier, limber offensive players can take a hit better than we thought that they were going to be able to take, and CeeDee Lamb falls into that category. We've talked a little bit about this Cowboys offense already this offseason, talking about George Pickens. These two paired together, though, I do think even if Pickens isn't an outstanding player, what it will open up for CeeDee Lamb is to have a monster season. The Cowboys passing attack is going to be super, super heavy. And I think CeeDee was a great shout at number 3 for you. Like I said, I had him just at number 4.
Who you have at number 3?
My number 3 is AJ Brown.
Okay.
AJ Brown, was he your 4 or no?
No, he was not.
Where is he on your list?
I got him at 5. I got him at 5.
5's fine. AJ Brown last year had a down statistical season, 67 catches, 1,079 yards, and 7 touchdowns. That was in 13 games. I did the math. I took the liberty for you of statting it out to 17 game pace, 88 catches, 1,411 yards, and 9 touchdowns over a full season is what he would have put up. The Eagles, no doubt last year as well, were a run-first offense. And I do think that that matters somewhat in terms of when we're looking at the numbers of these wide receivers and what did they produce, because it's important to know what was their team's identity and what was asked of them. And for A.J. Brown, in what was a run-first offense in limited games to still reach 1,000 yards, and if you statted him out to a full 17 to still be a 1,400-yard receiver, I think just speaks to the talent of A.J. Brown. In terms of all the wide receivers we're going to talk about today, he is the prototypical build you would want if you could build a wide receiver in a lab. This guy is absolutely yoked out of his mind, 6'3", one of the fastest wide receivers in football, can high point any ball. And I think the Super Bowl was a really good point about this because we saw him lined up with Trent McDuffie, who I know we both view as one of the top corners in football, and he bullied him because of how much bigger he is. Last year, per PFF, he was the number 1 wide receiver against man coverage. You, simply put, cannot play this man one-on-one. You have to give additional help to be able to stop him, or majority of time, he will cook you. I think A.J. Brown, in terms of a pure talent perspective, to me, is a top 3 wide receiver in all of football.
I mean, yeah. I mean, I understand why you would say that, and the stats obviously when you pick up a guy like Saquon Barkley, and he has a season like he just had, your number 1 receiver, his stats are going to take a hit, and that's pretty obvious right now. That's not really why I had him at 5 and not outside my top 3. I just feel like the first 4 are just more talented, and I trust them a little bit more. Production-wise, I trust them more with their route tree. I trust them more just in general. They may have better hands, in my opinion, as well. So, but A.J. Brown is definitely a top 5 receiver in the NFL to me.
Yeah, and I think, if you want to talk about off the field question marks or mental, I think that is something that can come into play with AJ Brown. I do think he, has some of that wide receiver diva built into him. I kind of think that it's an ego thing, and I think wide receivers and corners all have to have them because you were one-on-one with somebody the majority of the time, and if you don't think you're the best, how's that going to work? But obviously some display it differently than others. Like I just talked about Jefferson, how high character he is. He trash talks, but you never see the diva thing. So I do wish AJ had a little less of that, and he can sometimes not come down with catches that I wish that he would have. So
Yeah.
I understand what you're saying there about the hands. But to me, the athletic freak that he is just out of this world. So I had CeeDee Lamb at 4. You have AJ Brown at 5. Who was your number 4?
My number 4, I'm gonna go with Puka Nacua.
So Puka's my number 6.
Yeah, so Puka Nacua, man, I watched him play a couple games live, and you want to talk about Jefferson's hands? Puka Nacua, I think he has the best hands in football. I've seen him make some crazy catches that don't even make sense. Like if you, I know, I get it.
That divisional round versus Philly. Well, that one was sweet. He had the diving catch on the sideline in the regular season game versus Philly as well, where he was just straight up horizontal. Like Puka could catch the ball.
Yeah, and
don't get 3 hands, no doubt.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Justin Jefferson's hands, like they're neck and neck in my opinion, 1A or 1B. But I don't know. When it comes to Puka Nacua, a couple years ago, he had, in my opinion, the best rookie season by any wide receiver ever. Still didn't get Offensive Rookie of the Year. They gave it to C.J. Stroud. In my opinion, I feel like he should have got that award. But, I mean, last season, he proved that he can be a number 1 receiver that offense can lean on. And I feel like now with Davante Adams, his game is just going to elevate more in the way that you said CeeDee Lamb's game can elevate with George Pickens. So I'm very high on Puka Nacua. Very high.
I don't blame you. I had him at 6, and I thought about moving him all the way up to 4. My 4 through 7 are very interchangeable in my estimation. I think people don't really realize how effective Puka was when he played because it wasn't as often. Last year, 79 catches, 990 yards, 3 touchdowns in 10 games. I statted that out to a 17-game pace, which is what Chase and Jefferson played. So I think it's just kind of fair to show what the numbers would have been. And if Puka Nacua played a full 17 games, Ja'Marr Chase wouldn't have been the Triple Crown winner because Puka Nacua would have had 134 receptions, 1,683 yards, and only 5 touchdowns, which I found interesting. I know touchdowns are a little bit more, volatile in terms of how often do you end up in the end zone, but it would have been a really funny year to see a guy 130 catches, 1,650 plus yards, but only 5 touchdowns because a similar season Chase had, and he found the end zone 17 times. Just a huge gap there, and obviously very volatile. The one knock that I have on Puka compared to some of the other guys we've talked about this far is he doesn't have massive explosive play upside.
Yeah.
Is there a receiver that you'd rather have other than Puka Nacua on a 3rd and 5? I'm not sure. But if you need to get a massive 40-yard touchdown, he's just not the guy that you would think of for that. It's certainly something he could develop, and he's had big plays in his career. So anybody that's a Puka fan or a Rams fan, don't hear what I'm not saying. He's capable of it. But when I compare him to these top-tier echelon guys, that's why I landed with him at 6, because the big chunk explosive play capability just isn't at the level of the 5 guys that I have above him. But like you said, route running, top 3 in football. Hands, top 3 in football. Like, he is elite at multiple things that a wide receiver needs to be elite at. And you know what? Shout out his blocking, man. It's a guy that'll go out there and block for you in the run game. Like, this is a football player. Like, the diva wide receiver thing, Puka Nacua will go out there and block his ass for your running back anytime you ask him to. So that's certainly something for Puka. So you had Puka at 5.
Yes.
My number 5 is Texans wide receiver Nico Collins. Nico Collins last year had 68 catches for 1,006 yards and 7 touchdowns in 12 games. Again, statted it out to a 17-game season just to get kind of an idea of what his production would have been. 96 receptions, 1,425 yards, and 9 touchdowns. And that was a Texans offense, even when he was out there, that struggled a little bit. I go back to 2 years ago, he was certainly a 1,200-yard receiver. I don't know the exact number, but I think we saw a true breakout for Nico. And I think it's something that people are kind of noticing when we get to my 3 through 7 here. I do value the size, man. Like, Nico Collins is a big body, an athletic freak, a guy you could target in the red zone, but he's also a guy that the Texans multiple times, his first game back, I believe they played Buffalo, and they lit him up for a 70-yard touchdown to open the game. It was called back due to a penalty that had nothing to do actually with the play, but we saw it in their playoff game 2 years ago. versus the Browns, he had a massive touchdown. He had a massive touchdown in that Colts game that won them the division. So not only does he have this big explosive play ability, but in the big games, Nico Collins absolutely shows up. Versus the Chargers last year when Diggs and Tank Dell were out, Nico absolutely ate, and you knew that he had to be the guy to absolutely come and be that weapon. So I think Nico Collins is an absolute beast, and I have him as a top 5 wide receiver in football. Where did he land in your top 10?
Oh yeah, he's definitely in my top 10. I think I got him at 7, but
That's
no,
fair.
8. I got him at 8.
Okay.
But the thing is, I understand exactly what you're saying with Nico Collins, and I think people are underestimating how much he means to the Houston Texans offense. Like,
he's big.
Yeah, the Texans, they can live without their 2 rookie receivers from Iowa State. They can live without Tank Dell. I don't think this offense can live without Nico Collins, not CJ Stroud. So people are really underestimating his value to his team, which I feel like, now that I think about it now, maybe I should have elevated him a little bit more on the list.
Yeah, and it's certainly possible. And again, I think for me personally, Chase Jefferson and AJ are a clear 1, 2, 3. But I know that it's not that way for everybody. Chase and Jefferson are a clear 1 and 2. But man, you get to like the 3 through even like 8, 9 range. Like so many of these guys are so talented and so interchangeable. So I had Puka at my 6th spot. I don't think we talked about your 6th wide receiver yet. So who do you have at 6?
Now, this is kind of looking at it now. It kind of
are you calling an audible?
Yeah, kind of. I'm gonna throw Malik Nabers up there. I'm gonna throw Malik.
I have Malik Nabers at my 8th spot.
Yeah, so I'm gonna throw Malik Nabers up there because of this quarterback situation he had last year. Not to mention he was still very productive. He has some highlight plays. Now, I mean, Russell, his quarterback situation isn't the greatest right now, but at least he still has quarterbacks that are capable of getting him the ball, unlike last year. And for a guy of this talent, Russell Wilson, he can get these guys the ball. What's the name? Malik Nabers has a bigger route tree than George Pickens, and George Pickens still had a pretty decent season. Now he has a wide receiver that you can literally line up anywhere on the field, not just on the left side of the field, and he can still be productive. I think Malik Nabers is set to have at least a 1,400-yard season. And Jameis Winston can get him the ball regardless. I mean, he may throw 2-3 picks in the process.
Jerry Jeudy was a top 10 yardage guy last year with Jameis Winston.
so that is a situation where he doesn't have a Pro Bowl level quarterback, but these guys can get him the ball because who else are they going to get the ball to like that? There's not really any big-time threats that are lined up on the field besides Tyrone Tracy, who may have a decent season too. So I think, people are sleeping on Malik Nabers, but this year I feel like it'll be his, oh my gosh, this is a top 5 receiver.
And I know you're not the highest on Jackson Dart, but with the arm strength that Dart has, man, if he can succeed at the NFL level, that'll be beautiful for Malik Nabers. Yeah. Absolutely. Like you mentioned, Malik Nabers coming off of a fantastic rookie campaign, 109 receptions, 1,204 yards, and 7 touchdowns. I had him at number 8. We've talked about my 6 guys above him: Chase, Jefferson, AJ Brown, Lamb, Collins, Nacua. We haven't talked about my 7th spot yet, and we will. For me, it's very similar to the way that I talked about Jaden Daniels, right? I know I sound old guy cliche, but can I see it again? Can I see Malik Nabers produce at that level again, especially before I move him up ahead of some of those really talented guys? But when I talked about Jefferson and Puka having, being top 3 in the NFL in hands, I think Malik Nabers is right up there with them. And this is something that he showed all season. The guy, especially in the red zone, was making some very high level catches, the toe taps, the keeping the feet in bounds, the, hauling in the ball. Really, really solid. He has the big playability. We didn't see it as much as the top guys. Is that quarterback play? Is that Malik Nabers? To be determined. But I think Malik is a really, really good shout. And like you mentioned, the quarterback play this year should at least be better. 100%. How good is it? We'll see. But it should be better than what it was last year. And Malik Nabers, man, another wide receiver star out of LSU. Of your top 6, 3 of them from LSU. So I guess LSU is officially wide receiver university. That he was your 6. we, I think, have the same number 7. Is your number 7 Amon-Ra St. Brown?
Yeah, I mean, to me, it was between him and Brian Thomas Jr. But I'm gonna knock Brian Thomas Jr. down a little bit lower. So I'm gonna go with
Because you had
Amon-Ra.
Nico at 8, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so we both have Amon-Ra St. Brown at 7.
Yes.
He is coming off of another successful campaign, 115 receptions, 1,263 yards, 12 touchdowns. I would imagine the reason that, if people are wondering why we both kind of consensusly have him as the lowest of what is viewed as the elite wide receivers, my personal reason for it is I don't want to say he's a slot merchant, but he's an elite slot wide receiver, and I think
you could say that.
I think he would be a good outside wide receiver, but he eats in the slot, and that's fine. You know, a top 3 slot wide receiver in football, not a doubt in my mind. The guy can get open in the middle of the field. He finds open space. He has the ability to extend plays. And again, I would suggest you and anybody else who hasn't seen it, watch the wide receiver show that he was a part of. This may be the hardest working dude in the NFL. I'm not even kidding you. The guy is an absolute grinder. You have to absolutely love his personality. You talk about diva wide receivers. Amon-Ra St. Brown is the exact opposite. Maybe he's a trash talker on the field and fun on the field. Off the field, this is the perfect wide receiver for a Dan Campbell team. I'll put it that way. This guy is an absolute gym demon, an absolute beast. But again, surefire, sticky hands. 12 touchdowns, so proven to be a real threat in the red zone. And I think that goes to his route running, man. Him on a zig route in the red zone, that's pretty lethal, especially when you got Laporta and Jamison Williams and Jahmyr Gibbs running around. Obviously, a lot of guys to keep track of, but Amon-Ra St. Brown is the focal point of the Detroit Lions passing game for a reason, and there's a reason they're usually a top 5 offense. He's a big part of that.
Yeah, and you want to talk about a complete receiver. The only thing that we question is his ability to get downfield and, be an outside receiver. But besides that, man, his footwork, the way his work ethic, he's like a security blanket. It's almost like you have a second tight end out there because he doesn't drop passes, and it's just with this guy, he produces, he gets on the field, he'll block, he'll put his body on the line for a block. He's not going to pout if he doesn't get the ball every single game. And like some other diva receivers that you would see. And, when it comes to Amon-Ra St. Brown, I think that he's underrated. People want to call him a slot merchant. And the thing is, it's nothing wrong with perfecting what you're good at. And I feel like that's what he does. And his coach knows how to use him to his best ability. So I don't knock that against him, the fact that he lines up all in the slot. Although I would like to see him on the outside more. That could make him rise up the rankings. But, I don't have no problem with it.
Yeah, I don't hold it against him. I've seen people on social media that try and hold it against him and knock him out of their top 10 wide receiver rankings, and I think that's a bridge too far.
That's
crazy. Me personally, when I am comparing him to a Justin Jefferson, a Ja'Marr Chase, a CeeDee Lamb, who we talked about, we are talking inches, not miles, when it comes to the best wide receivers in football, and that is certainly a talking point there. I would like to know, we did have the same top 8 guys, just in a different order. We both had Chase and Jefferson 1 and 2. I then went AJ, CeeDee, Nico, Puka, Amon-Ra, Malik. You went Chase, Jefferson, Lamb, Puka, AJ Brown, Malik Nabers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins. So we're both at 9 and 10 at this point in the video. Yep. You said who I believe is your wide receiver number 9. Is it Brian Thomas Jr.?
Yes. So my number 9 and 10 might be controversial.
Brian Thomas Jr. So we have Chase, Jefferson, Nabers, Brian Thomas. 4 of 9. 4 of the top 9 wide receivers in football are from LSU. Brian Thomas just missed my cut. He was not a top 10 wide receiver for me. But I think that top 8 should be in everybody's top 10 at least. And then the 9 and 10 spots I view as very interchangeable. I think there's 9 to all the way down to 16 of guys.
And bro, it's a lot of looking at this list, there's so many good wide receivers that didn't make the list.
There's going to be people that don't make either of our top 10s that people are upset about. And I get it.
Bruh, just some names that I didn't even have. I didn't have Davante Adams. I didn't have Terry McLaurin. I didn't have Rashid Rice, who's going to be healthy this year. You got a whole bunch of Garrett Wilson. Like Lamb McConkey was a number 1 receiver last year. I get it, he's not top 10.
Rookie season.
T. Higgins and Drake London did not make my list. Those are both very good receivers. Yep. Those could be number 1 receivers. Drake London is. But when it comes to Brian Thomas Jr., he's playing next to a rookie in Travis Hunter, wide receiver, who is an absolute freak athlete.
And he's
now
against him in practice too.
Yes, and so it's an iron sharpens iron type deal. But now he has someone to take a little bit of pressure off of him, and now Trevor Lawrence he's on the hot seat right now. He has to make something happen, because I think the second half of last season, Brian Thomas Jr. showed to me that he is a top 10 receiver, 100%. And now he has the weapons around him to prove it, or weapon. Because, their run game isn't that reliable, and I don't know what they're doing over there at tight end or slot receiver either. They really only got 2 weapons on this offense that are actual threats. But now it's not just Brian Thomas Jr. I don't know his stats off the top of my head. But
I'm pulling them up right now. He finished last year with 87 receptions, 1,282 yards, and 10 touchdowns. So
I know he had 10 touchdowns.
Season, obviously. Statistically, it was a better rookie season than Malik Nabers. You could argue that he was the best rookie wide receiver, and you wouldn't get a ton of pushback from me. He certainly came in and was the most explosive rookie wide receiver. A lot of the chatter and discrediting to Brian Thomas Jr. that was done in the pre-draft was kind of the guy's got one route and it's a streak route, and the guy
that's why he's not higher. but
he doesn't just have one route, but like you mentioned with Amon-Ra St.Brown, when you're at LSU and you're the Brian Thomas Jr. level good, and we could just send you deep and you could beat the brinks off of teams, like, we're going to do it. But the guy showed at the NFL level he is much more than that. He still has the explosive deep play ability, which I absolutely love, and which is a big reason why I think he has top 5 wide receiver potential in this league. If Liam Cohen can kind of fix Trevor Lawrence and get this offense to his level, we could be talking about Brian Thomas Jr. as a fringe top 5 wide receiver next year. It would take a lot, but we could. He's got the size, he's got the speed, and obviously you want that route tree to expand a little bit, but for a rookie season, 1,200 yards, 10 touchdowns, like, not much more you could ask for.
Yeah. I mean, for Brian Thomas Jr., his season is solely dependent upon Trevor Lawrence. Trevor Lawrence is going to have the best season in his career, at least the best season he's had in the last 3
years. I think he should be able to, by the way, with the weapons and the coach now. Like we've talked about Trevor at length, and it's in the top 8 most players under the most pressure, if you want to see a long conversation on that. My number 9, you mentioned him in your honorable mentions, so I know he didn't make your list, is scary Terry McLaurin. 82 receptions, 1,096 yards, 13 touchdowns last year. Terry McLaurin, to me, has been one of the more underrated wide receivers in all of football, and I didn't know if we were ever going to see him get a high-level quarterback, but, man, they get him Jaden Daniels finally, and things click, and the guy is an absolute baller, and now the numbers finally reflect that. You got to think, for Terry McLaurin's career, he's had 2 years of Taylor Heineke, some Ryan Fitzpatrick in there, Carson Wentz. Who was the Commanders quarterback before Jaden Daniels? Marcus Mariota? I don't know. There, like,
he was in there.
It's been a lot of backup level quarterbacks that have just been a revolving door for the Commanders. Jaden Daniels comes in, a Pro Bowl caliber player, a real threat at quarterback, and then Terry McLaurin has a Pro Bowl level season. And I think he's a top 10 wide receiver in football, man, because he can kill you on the outside. He can kill you on the inside. He's got the big play ability. I think back to that game versus the Bengals, and I get it. It's the Bengals defense, and it is what it is. He killed them deep. And if you remember at the end of the game, Washington was up with the dagger play. Jaden Daniels, beautiful, beautiful ball down the sideline into the end zone. But Terry's ability to beat his corner for 40+ yards, keep the feed in, keep the ball maintained while being tackled. Just, I think everything about what makes Terry McLaurin so great as a wide receiver was highlighted on that play. Obviously, he can kill you in the intermediate routes. He's really solid in terms of speed as well, can beat you on the slants. And how many big plays do you think about from that Commanders team where Terry McLaurin's at the center of it last year?
Oh, yeah.
That touchdown versus the Cowboys to send that game to overtime, where it was not the Hail Mary play that you think of with the Commanders, but the other one that was later in the season. So Terry McLaurin, for me, man, he landed at number 9 on my list. I think that guy is really, really special.
I mean, looking at it now, the Commanders, you look at their wide receiving group, man, and Noah Brown, Jahan Dotson was a late season trade.
No, they traded him before the season.
Okay,
started.
before the season.
So their receiving core, as they went through the season and then went into the playoffs, was Terry McLaurin, Noah Brown, De'Ami Brown, and Alamani Zaccheaus, and then Zach Ertz at tight end.
Yeah, and you got a older Zach Ertz, which Jaden Daniels kind of revived his career, but you look out, nobody else is dynamic. It's not like, how did this team win so many games? That's what I'm looking at. Their defense wasn't amazing. Their run game wasn't amazing. It was Jaden Daniels and Terry McLaurin's connection to each other. And for Terry McLaurin's entire career, he's been consistent, but now that he has a quarterback, he can literally be the best wide receiver in football on any given Sunday now. And I don't think that before this season, I don't think the Commanders knew that they had that on the roster. So,
no, I don't think so. But, I'm excited to see what kind of a jump we can get in year 2. For the past 5 years, Terry McLaurin has been 1,000 yards. So I'm not saying he's a guy that's going to catch up to Mike Evans' record, and he's got a contract that we're talking about right now. But, man, he was able to do it for all those years with Taylor Heineke and whoever the hell else was there now. He's got Jaden Daniels for 17 games. I'd be shocked if we see a season with Terry McLaurin under 1,000 yards that isn't due to some version of injury. So you're number 10, last guy on the list here for you.
Yes, that was your number 9?
That was my number 9.
Okay, so my number 10 is someone who you just mentioned. I mean, it was between him or Tyreek Hill, but I'm going to go with Mike Evans, man. I'm going to go with Tyreek Hill. I was thinking long about Tyreek Hill, and I just don't know what he has going on, man. I can't have him in my top 10, and I don't know if he's even going to play next season, quite honestly.
I think Evans is better than Tyreek, too. I think you made the right choice there. I think that Tyreek Hill, we started to see the beginning of the decline.
Yeah, and Mike Evans, I know exactly what I'm going to get. And when it comes to it makes a quarterback's life so much more easier. It makes your team, it gives your team one less thing to worry about when you know every single season what you're going to get from somebody. It's kind of hard to turn that down. And he's been consistent. And out of respect, I mean, the numbers speak for itself too. It's not like I'm just giving him a top 10 spot. Like, there's a lot of people who think Mike Evans. There's a lot of wide receivers who think Mike Evans is a top 5 receiver in football.
Well, so last year, Mike Evans in 14 games, 74 catches, 1,004 yards, 11 touchdowns. Over a 17-game pace, we're looking at 90 receptions, 1,220 yards, and what are we looking at? Probably 13-ish touchdowns. So 1,200 yards, 13 touchdowns, close to 100 catches. Like, Mike Evans, when he was out there, was still very highly productive. I know a lot of people, saw him in that last game, and him and Baker make sure he gets that 1,000 yards.
Yeah.
And that wasn't because of a decline in Mike Evans' play. That was because he was hurt and missed some time.
Yeah, I mean, and you want to talk about quarterback proof. I mean, before Tom Brady got there,
a 30 for 30 special, Jameis Winston.
I mean, yeah. So you want to talk about quarterback proof? This guy has been through several quarterbacks throughout his career as well, and he's produced for the longest amount of time. So I mean, Mike Evans. I still got a couple honorable mentions. I mean, Drake London very well could have been in there too.
Yeah.
I don't think T. Higgins is top 10. But Davante Adams, oh my gosh, it's kind of, I feel bad leaving him off. I really do.
So that perfect, because Davante's my number 10.
Okay, I do feel bad, but it's like, oof.
So there's been a little bit of a narrative of people that think Davante started a decline similar to Tyreek Hill, the way that I talked about that. I don't see it. Last year, in 14 games, 85 receptions, 1,063 yards, and 8 touchdowns. And that was with a quarterback set of Aiden O'Connell. I think that was the only Raiders quarterback he played with. There might have been another one. And Aaron Rodgers, once he got to the Jets and had to learn a new offense, but how new was it? I'm not sure. But either way, 17-game pace, even with all that last year, Adams would have statted out to 103 for 1290 and 10 touchdowns. And he was in some of the worst offensive situations that there were in football, and he's still producing at an elite level.
True.
To me, in terms of a route runner, he's still top 5 in football. I think Davante Adams now has evolved to a veteran part of his game where he's able to beat DBs with his mind. And I'm so excited to see a guy like that play alongside Matthew Stafford in terms of just enjoying football. As an Eagles fan, absolutely terrified at the fact that, in my estimation, Matthew Stafford now has a wide receiver duo of 2 top 10 guys. Absolutely terrified about it, but I'm not going to deny the talent that is Davante Adams. We'll see what him and Puka's numbers look like at the end of the year. I think that they could be close. I think that what Davante Adams is what the team would have wanted Cooper Kupp to be last year. Davante Adams has had some injuries, but he's nowhere close to as injury prone as Cooper Kupp. And I think that to some people, we're about to see a revival season from Davante Adams. To me, it's just now he's in a situation that he can absolutely cook, because we saw him cook for all those years in Green Bay. And then he goes to the Raiders and Jimmy Garoppolo is throwing hospital balls and Aiden O'Connell isn't an NFL starter. And they're just throwing him out there with trash. He goes to the Jets, and somehow the Jets is not good, but better.
Yeah,
and that
not
was
by much, but marginally at least.
I mean, the game that he had versus Jacksonville, if you want proof that he still has it, like, go watch that tape. Go watch that second half. I think he had 180 yards in the second half of that game. The guy was an absolute monster. So Davante Adams is number 10. You mentioned some of the honorable mentions. Drake London, I think he's a riser. I'm excited to see a full season of him with Michael Penix, because of 1, it'll tell me where I should feel about Drake London. 2, maybe more interesting, where I should feel about Michael Penix. T. Higgins, I think, is a fringe top 15 guy. I do think he benefits a little bit from getting to face cornerback 2s and being on a team with Jamar Chase. But also, this is a guy that gets double-digit touchdowns and always misses like 5 games. So
it's kind of incredible, bro.
He's a producer. Garrett Wilson, I think, has an elite skill set, but I haven't seen him with comparable offensive play. We'll see what it is this year with Justin Fields. Devonta Smith, I think, is an excellent wide receiver, but again, he gets some of that wide receiver 2 benefit. But Heisman winner, Super Bowl winner at some level, and a guy who, again, gets to around 1,000 yards every year on a team that is run first, and he plays alongside A.J. Brown. Tyreek Hill, we'll see. I'm probably more down on him than you are at this point. Brian Thomas Jr., who missed my top 10, but he made yours. So there's a lot of talented wide receivers, man, and we only got more joining the NFL with Tedero McMillan and Travis Hunter and Matthew Golden, who were first-round picks, and Emeka Egbuka. Will he get an opportunity to shine? So it is a wide receiver-heavy league. If you had the same top 10 as one of us, I'd be amazed. It'd be outstanding, especially, again, that 8, 9, and 10 range. It's so interchangeable.
Yeah, 100%, man. I mean, there's still a couple other receivers too. You got, Chris Godwin. That's a whole different situation because he's hurt. But
yeah, he was having a top 5 season before he got hurt.
Exactly. That's why I bought him up. You got guys like DJ Moore as well. But that are underrated.
On your Steelers, DK Metcalf.
Yeah,
in terms of building a wide receiver in a lab, like I mentioned with AJ Brown, the next guy you'd have in that lab is DK Metcalf.
That's facts. And when going back to Davante Adams, is there any better replacement that you could have for a guy like Cooper Kupp? I don't think so.
I think they hit the upgrade button.
Oh, exactly. And it's kind of scary because not only do they have 2 top 10 receivers, they also have a top 10 running back, at least in production, a guy who had 1,400 yards, 16, 17 touchdowns last year. So,
yeah, I'm coming to terms with the fact that, am I a bad Eagles fan if I put money on the Rams to win the Super Bowl?
Dude, they're scary, bro.
Because I think they're like 22-1. Like $20 to pay out 440 feels like a fun deal.
Yeah. And they have an okay defense. That secondary has a couple of questions on it, but their pass rush. But they can get
on that D line now too.
Yeah, they can get to the quarterback, which is damn near
I might talk myself into it. Paydays in 2 days.
Yeah, you can wreck a whole team's plan if you can get to the quarterback, and the Rams can at least do that. And with that offense, they might not even need that many stops. So the Rams are going to be dangerous too. But
for sure. Anybody still watching the pod at this point? This is what I'm thinking for the remaining schedule as we lead up to the NFL season. Next week, top 10 defenses. The week after, underrated teams, the week after overrated teams, the week after bold predictions, AFC predictions, NFC predictions, award predictions, and then official predictions. That would be 8 weeks, at which we are, when this video airs, we'll be 8 videos away from the NFL season. So it is right around the corner. To recap my list: Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, AJ Brown, CeeDee Lamb, Nico Collins, Puka Nacua, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Malik Nabers, Terry McLaurin, Davante Adams. JaVon's list: Ja'Marr Chase, Justin Jefferson, CeeDee Lamb, Puka Nacua, AJ Brown, Malik Nabers, Amon-Ra St. Brown, Nico Collins, Brian Thomas Jr., and I'm brain farting, Mike Evans.
Yeah, Mike Evans. We lit.
I didn't have those names written down, so I had to remember BT.
Dude, that's actually impressive because I make half of my list off the dome too. Surprise!
Oh, I have a notes app written up, and then when you said a receiver that was the same on my list, I wrote that number next to it. But I didn't have Brian Thomas and Mike Evans, so I had to remember just 2.
Yeah, that's fair.
Of the dome. But as always, be sure to leave your thoughts in the comment section down below. Check out JaVon's socials in the links in the description, NBA, NFL content. Check out some of the videos that we've been doing together if you enjoy these longer style podcasts. I got other stuff on the channel, tier lists, reaction videos, etc. You name it. It's going to be a great NFL season. If you love football and you're not subscribed, hit that button, and we will catch you next Wednesday.
Yes, sir.